It's just a small dinner, my dad said when I wasn't invited to my sister's engagement party. I showed up anyway. Halfway through, my parents left laughing. A waiter dropped a $10,000 bill with a note. Time to prove you're not extra. I just sat. That night, I froze every account with my name on it. 72 hours later, 5 voicemails, 33 missed calls. It's just a small dinner, my dad said. That's what he called it when I found out I wasn't invited. My sister's engagement dinner, an event with printed menus, reserved tables, and a live cellist. Just a few people. Don't take it personally. Like exclusion could ever be casual. Like omission wasn't the sharpest kind of message. I wasn't supposed to know. I found out from a coworker. His niece posted it on Instagram. Tag after tag, everyone smiling, champagne glasses raised in front of gold foil balloons. My mom in the middle of it all, beaming. My dad, arm around my future brother-in-law. Even my old piano teacher was there. But not me. I waited for someone to mention it. A text. A call. Anything. Days passed. Nothing. So I called. Hey, heard there was a dinner for Lindsay. Engagement thing? My dad didn't skip a beat. Oh, that? It was nothing. Just a small thing. Didn't think you'd want to drive all that way for a quick bite. A quick bite. $10,000 in catering and private venue lighting. But sure, just a bite. I thanked him for letting me know. He chuckled. Next time, yeah? I hung up, smiled at my reflection in the black screen, and made a decision. I was going. Not to crash it. Not to make a scene. Just to see. I wanted to see with my own eyes how invisible I had become. I arrived during dessert. No announcement, no knock. I walked through the side entrance, quiet, unnoticed. They were midway through speeches. My sister was laughing, holding a glass of champagne in one hand. Mark's fingers laced through the other. My seat, the one I hadn't been offered, was filled. No empty chairs. So I stood near the back. A few people noticed. They nodded, awkward smiles, unsure if they'd forgotten to greet me or if they weren't supposed to see me at all. And then something happened that I still don't understand. My parents got up, mid-toast, and walked out, laughing. They didn't say goodbye, didn't acknowledge me. They just turned, brushed past me like I was a waiter with an empty tray, and disappeared through the lobby. A few minutes later, a man in black approached. A waiter. Nervous, clutching a folded bill. He handed it to me like it was a summons. Sir, they asked me to give this to you. Inside, the final invoice. $10,800. A note written in my dad's handwriting. Time to prove you're not extra. That's when everything went still. I didn't yell. I didn't storm. I didn't cry. I just sat down in the empty seat near the kitchen door, set the bill on the table, and stared at the flickering candle. I didn't eat. I didn't speak. I let the silence do all the talking. That night, I went home, opened every banking portal tied to my name, and froze it all. Every card, every account, every automatic payment, transfer, allowance. Gone. I didn't even sleep. I didn't need to. By sunrise, I had already started to feel lighter. 3 days later, 5 voicemails, 33 missed calls. And I hadn't even started yet. They didn't even hesitate. That was the part that stuck with me. Not the laughter. Not the bill. Not even the note. It was how easy it was for them to hand me the invoice and walk out. Like this was the plan. Like I'd been cast in a role I didn't audition for. Provider, prop, background. And when the curtain dropped, they didn't even bother to clap. I spent the next 72 hours awake. Not spiraling. Calculating. I pulled up old banking records. Transfers. Venmo notes. Amazon receipts. Little things at first. A streaming account here. A car payment there. The engagement ring bought with my credit. Labeled discreetly as work expense. But the further back I went, the uglier it got. The backyard remodel gifted to them for their anniversary? That was me. The catering deposit for my cousin's wedding? Me again. The down payment on the beach house we all chipped in for? Spoiler. I was the all. It wasn't just recent. This wasn't new. They had been draining me for years, and I let them. Quietly. Willingly. Believing that if I just gave a little more, they'd finally let me sit at the table. But I never got a chair. I got the check. It hit me hardest when I found a folder buried in my inbox, labeled Family Fun. I clicked it. Inside were copies of vacation itineraries, party budgets, even gift registries. All tracked, all booked, all routed through my accounts. I wasn't a brother. I was an ATM with a pulse. And yet, every memory associated with those events. I wasn't in the photos. I wasn't tagged. I wasn't thanked. At my mom's birthday last year, I'd paid for a custom cake flown in from San Francisco. My name wasn't mentioned once. But my sister, who organized everything, got 3 standing toasts. At Christmas, I replaced the entire HVAC system so Grandpa Joe could breathe easier. I sat in the garage during dinner because the table was full. At my own graduation, my dad told a room full of his friends I had a decent little tech job. I had just closed a multi-million-dollar contract. But they didn't want me to look too successful. That might make them look smaller. I wasn't family. I was a feature, a subscription. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. My sister once told me, years ago, "You're just better at being alone." I thought she meant it kindly. But now I know, she meant it as a convenience. If I stayed on the sidelines, they didn't have to include me. They could use me, then dismiss me. I remembered another moment. Clear as crystal. My dad had just recovered from surgery. I paid every medical bill. Every single one. At the family dinner afterward, he raised his glass and said, "To resilience, and to Lindsay, for keeping us all together." Lindsay, who hadn't even visited him in the hospital. That was the pattern. They let me fund the illusion and then gave someone else the credit. Because giving me credit would mean acknowledging my worth. And if they acknowledged my worth, they'd have to respect me. And if they respected me, they'd lose control. It wasn't malice. That's what made it worse. It was entitlement. They truly believed I existed to smooth over their failures. To keep the lights on. To foot the bill for love I was never going to get. And I let them. For decades. Because I thought love was something you earned. That if I just worked hard enough, if I just made myself useful enough, they'd see me. Really see me. But they never did. Because they never wanted to. That night, I started a spreadsheet. Line by line, I tracked every favor. Every payment. Every instance where I stepped in to fix something they broke, to clean up something they ruined, to fund something they couldn't afford. Total, $214,000 over 9 years. No thank you. No apology. Just expectation. It wasn't about the money. It was about the silence. The audacity of pretending I didn't exist while living off the life I built. So I made a new list. Not of what I gave, but of what I was going to take back. Because this wasn't just a realization. This was the blueprint for my exit. They didn't know it yet. But the family vault just closed. And I was the only one holding the key. I didn't slam the door behind me. I closed it softly. Click. Like sealing a vault. That night, while the engagement dinner buzzed on Instagram, filtered, polished, packed with hollow toasts, I sat in my apartment with the lights off, one screen glowing. Spreadsheet open. Every entry was a scar I hadn't noticed bleeding. By 2 a.m., I had it mapped. Every system they used. Every thread of their life that ran through me. And I started pulling. First, the financials. They had 3 streaming services. All on my cards. I canceled every one mid-movie. No warning. Just gone. Their phones. I paid for the family plan. 5 lines. I logged into the dashboard, clicked, transfer ownership. They had 72 hours to accept. If they didn't, they'd go dark. The thermostat in their house. Smart system. My system. Installed under my company's license. I deactivated remote access. Their heat dropped to default eco mode. The Wi-Fi mesh I set up last Christmas, the same one that kept every smart device humming, paused it. Then came the door locks. Smart access, controlled through my admin login. I didn't disable them. I wasn't malicious. But I removed their backup codes. No more remote unlock. No more control. They'd wake up to a home that didn't respond. Then I went deeper. Their email server, hosted through my business suite. My parents' side gig, a little tax prep business they ran seasonally. I set up their infrastructure, gave them access to premium software, unbilled. I revoked their license. My sister's online boutique, launched through my platform, hosted on my server space. I gave her free templates, even paid the first-year domain renewal. Revoked. The moment she refreshed her admin dashboard, it was gone. Then came the mortgage. 2 years ago, they refinanced the house. Couldn't qualify on their own. I co-signed, quietly, no celebration, no public thanks. That morning, I called the lender, triggered a review, told them I wanted out. The rep remembered me because I'd fixed a backend server issue for them during a weekend crash. Within an hour, the review was underway. They wouldn't qualify now. Not with the debt. Not with their credit. I didn't have to shut off the house. The bank would do it for me. I wasn't done. My sister once bragged about how she didn't need me for anything. You just do the backend nerd stuff, she said. The real work is branding. Branding, huh? I logged into her email. The business one she never changed the password for. I downloaded every vendor quote, every invoice I'd paid. Then I set the autoresponder. This account has been suspended due to misuse of assets and unauthorized transactions. I CC'd her on it. 5 minutes later, 3 missed calls. Ignored. I opened my calendar. Scanned the months. Lindsay's wedding scheduled for March. Guess who booked the venue? Guess whose card was on file? Guess who signed as guarantor? I called. Calm. Courteous. Said I needed to cancel. Personal reasons. They weren't happy. But I was the signer. Policy was policy. They offered a partial refund. I took it. The wedding was now a garden party without a garden and no place to park the band. At 10:17 a.m., the first wave hit. A text from Dad. Phone's not working. Fix it. No greeting. No question. I replied, you said I was extra. Consider this a deduction. At 11:22 a.m., my mom tried calling from her friend's phone. I let it ring. She left a voicemail. Why are you doing this? You're being cruel. Cruel? No. Cruel was smiling while I picked up the bill and pretending it was my privilege to be used. Cruel was letting me show up with gifts and leaving me off the group photo. Cruel was handing me a $10,000 dinner bill and walking away laughing. I wasn't being cruel. I was being precise. By noon, they knew. Not guessed. Knew. Because my sister posted it on her story. A black screen. White text. Never rely on people who think silence is revenge. I reposted it with my own caption. Sometimes silence is clarity. And clarity is the end. I didn't argue. Didn't defend. Instead, I opened a folder I'd built called Exit. Inside, PDFs, emails, login credentials, screenshots, everything I ever managed for them. Their digital life summarized, categorized, dated. I printed it all, dropped it in a FedEx envelope, and mailed it to Grandpa Joe. He'd know what to do with it. He always knew. At 3:47 p.m., my sister called 12 times in a row. Then sent one text, did you cancel the wedding venue? I replied, you didn't invite me. I didn't reserve it for you. By sundown, my uncle texted me. He was hosting Christmas this year. Said he heard things got tense and asked if I was ready to let it go. I replied with a photo of the engagement dinner bill and the note from my father. No caption. He didn't respond. That night, I took one last step. I logged into my corporate access. My company, built from the ground up, powered 41 businesses. 2 of them? My dad's side project and my sister's boutique. They were still running back-end services through my free licenses. I clicked into each. Selected. Terminate. Clicked. Confirm. The servers didn't crash. The sites didn't implode. But they blinked. And then they went quiet. They'd need to rebuild everything from scratch. And this time, they'd have to pay. At 11:38 p.m., my dad sent me one final message. You've made your point. Don't come crawling back when you realize what you've done. I stared at it for a long time. Then typed. I didn't crawl away. I walked. And I'm not turning around. Then I blocked the number. Closed the laptop. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't in debt to anyone. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. The silence didn't last. It never does with people like them. At first, they tried ignoring it, pretending this was just a phase, a tantrum I'd walk back from. But by day 3, reality cracked through their curated delusion. The first voicemail came from my mom. Her voice was syrupy, the kind she used on customer service reps when trying to get out of late fees. Honey, we just need to talk. This is all being blown out of proportion. Click. Next message, minutes later, no sweetness, just Klaus. I can't believe you would sabotage your own sister's wedding. Do you understand what you've done to this family? They were spiraling. By morning, my inbox had become a battlefield. Accusations from my dad. Guilt-drenched pleas from my sister. Even Aunt Karen chimed in from the cheap seats. Whatever happened, blood is blood. You don't just disappear. I didn't reply. They weren't reaching out to fix anything. They were trying to reset the narrative. Because if they couldn't make me the villain in public, they'd die trying to paint me one in private. Then came the escalation. At 2:11 p.m., I got a text from my mom. The electric bill bounced. Did you cancel the auto payments? I didn't answer. For minutes later, we can't live like this, Mason. We're not used to being punished for asking for help. Help? You call it help when you don't ask. You call it help when it's stolen? I stared at the text, wondering how long they'd lived in that twisted version of reality. How long they'd survived on the illusion that my silence meant consent and my money was communal. By day 5, they stopped pretending to be wounded. They turned vicious. My sister posted a carousel of wedding photos from a backup ceremony they'd thrown in someone's backyard. Captioned, "A beautiful day with the people who actually matter." The last slide? A blurry photo of me, cropped from years ago, captioned, "Some people just don't fit the moment." I didn't comment. I printed it, archived it, saved it for the lawyer. That night, my dad called from a blocked number. Left one voicemail. "You've humiliated us. I don't know what kind of man does this to his own family. You think this makes you strong? It just makes you spiteful. You've always been spiteful. Ever since you came back broken." That last line hit different. Because there it was. The real root. Not the dinner. Not the money. Not even the wedding. It was that I'd stopped being who they expected me to be the second I stopped apologizing for surviving. And then came the final act. Fabrication. A post went up on a local community board. Anonymous, but riddled with details that only someone in the family could have known. It accused me of fraud. Said I embezzled money. Claimed I'd stolen identities and misused company funds. It was cloaked in concern, wrapped in just enough truth to feel dangerous. Within hours, I got an email from a colleague. "Hey, someone's spreading weird stuff about you. Just a heads up." I knew who it was. Not Lindsay. Too impulsive. Not my mom. Too careless. It was Dad. The same man who once told me, real men protect their family no matter what. He was protecting the lie. I called my lawyer. Sent him screenshots. The voicemail. The post. He didn't even hesitate. "We're moving forward with defamation and cyber harassment." 2 hours later, I got a final group text from the family chat I hadn't opened in months. "You've destroyed us. All for what? A little self-righteous pride? You'll regret this. Families are forever. But the shame? It'll follow you." I left it unread. But I opened a new note on my phone. Typed one sentence. "They don't miss me. They miss the version of me that kept them from drowning. They don't know it yet. But that version of me? He's gone. And he's never coming back." I didn't need revenge. I just needed the truth to breathe. For years, they operated in silence, mocking me behind closed doors, rewriting every narrative, twisting every scene until I looked like the bitter one. But when you stop funding the illusion, the masks fall fast. I didn't go to war. I clarified the record. The balance didn't just shift. I stopped carrying it. Screenshots. Invoices. Voicemails. The engagement dinner bill with my father's handwritten insult. "Time to prove you're not extra." A PDF of the venue cancellation confirmation, stamped with my name. The photo of my sister's wedding cake, paid by my card, labeled "Thank you, Mason" in email, but never once mentioned aloud. I dropped it all in a secure folder. Sent it to my lawyer. And then to one more person. A journalist. Not some tabloid scavenger. A respected voice who had written once about invisible family roles and financial manipulation among adult children. Subject line: "You wanted a case study?" She responded in 15 minutes. The article dropped 3 days later. It wasn't vindictive. It wasn't dramatic. It was clinical. Clear. Unflinching. It told the story of a man erased in plain sight. Of the child who paid for everything and got nothing. Of the family that laughed while holding out their hands. It never mentioned names. But those who needed to know? They knew. And the reaction was wildfire. DMs from strangers. Comments. Messages from people who said, "This is my life too." Even my cousin Ellie texted me. Finally. Someone said it. That same night, my mom called 37 times. No answer. Then she left one voicemail. Whispers. Sobbing. "I don't understand why you'd want to hurt us like this." Hurt you? You were fine when I was bleeding out in silence. You only started crying when the lights came on. My sister posted a response. A wall of text, filled with buzzwords. Trauma, forgiveness, miscommunication, boundaries. She claimed I was exaggerating personal events to gain sympathy from strangers. She ended it with, "We love him, but we can't support his version of the truth." I replied with one photo. The bill. The note. $10,000. "Time to prove you're not extra." No caption. No filter. Just reality. 2 hours later, my dad texted, "Are you proud of this? You made us into monsters." I stared at the message. And finally replied, "I didn't make you into anything. I just stopped hiding what you already were." That was the shift. The balance didn't just tip. It snapped. And for the first time in my life, the weight was no longer on my shoulders. It was on theirs. Where it always belonged. They came to my door like ghosts. Not angry. Not screaming. Worse. Polite. Like nothing ever happened. My mom wore that same expression she used at funerals. Eyes damp. but makeup intact. My dad stood behind her, hands folded. Jaw set like he was bracing for applause after a tragedy he caused. And my sister, she didn't come inside. She stood at the edge of the driveway, arms crossed like a teenager who'd been made to apologize. Maya opened the door. Didn't invite them in. Didn't have to. I was already standing in the hallway, watching, waiting. My mom started first, like she'd rehearsed every word. We just wanted to talk, to explain, to clear the air. I didn't move. She kept going. Said they'd been under pressure, that things had spiraled, that they didn't know how much I was doing and never meant to make me feel excluded. Then the punchline. We're family. That word again. The same one they used when they wanted something. I stepped into the light. Looked at them. Looked at the woman who gave my seat away for hardwood flooring discounts. At the man who told me to prove I wasn't extra. At the sister who turned my silence into currency and spin it like a credit line. And I said, "You didn't lose a dinner. You lost me." My dad tried to speak. "Come on, son, don't do this. Let's not make this permanent." I cut him off. "It already is." He flinched. Not from volume. I never raised my voice. From finality. My mom's hands trembled. "We can't go on like this. It's tearing us apart." I nodded. "That's the point." She cried. Real tears this time. But they weren't for me. They were for what I used to be. For the son who paid and stayed quiet. For the silence they mistook for safety. For the version of me who kept showing up even when the door was locked from the inside. "You really won't come back," my dad whispered. I stepped closer. Calm. Cold. "I never left. You pushed me out. I just stopped knocking. And then I ended it." I didn't walk away from my family. I walked away from the people who convinced me I didn't belong in it. They didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. They turned around, got in the car, and drove away. No goodbye. Just gone. The house was quiet when I stepped back in. Maya was waiting with 2 mugs of tea, untouched on the counter. I sat down across from her. She asked, "Do you feel better?" I shook my head. "No. I feel free."